Today, we're going to uncover the hidden stories behind some of these forbidden places, revealing why they are off-limits and what dark secrets they hide. From snake-infested jungles to haunting tales of mass tragedy, this list will take you to places most of us are better off avoiding. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll be glad these islands remain shrouded in mystery. But before we dive into this list of forbidden destinations, make sure to hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss out on any more mysterious and fascinating content like this. And if you're ready to explore the world's darkest secrets, hit that like button too. It helps our channel keep growing. Now, let's begin our journey with North Sentinel Island, an isolated land in the Bay of Bengal where the indigenous tribe has violently rejected the outside world for centuries. Any attempt to make contact has been met with deadly force. So, why is it so dangerous? Stick around, because the further we travel down this list, the darker the secrets become. North Sentinel Island. Our first stop takes us to North Sentinel Island, located in the Bay of Bengal. On the surface, it looks like a tropical paradise, dense forests surrounded by crystal clear waters. But don't be fooled. This island is one of the most dangerous places in the world, and not because of its natural landscape, but because of the people who inhabit it. The Sentinelese, one of the last uncontacted tribes on Earth. For thousands of years, the Sentinelese have lived in complete isolation, and they intend to keep it that way. The Indian government has declared the island off-limits to protect both the tribe and outsiders. Any attempt to visit the island is met with hostility, and in many cases, deadly force. The tribe has fiercely rejected all outside contact, often responding with arrows and spears. In 2006, two fishermen unknowingly drifted too close to the island and paid the ultimate price. Their boat was found washed up on the shore, and their bodies were never recovered. The Sentinelese are known to violently protect their territory, and the Indian government has made it illegal to attempt contact with them. Violating this law not only puts your life at risk, but it also endangers the Sentinelese themselves. Since the tribe has been isolated for millennia, they have no immunity to common diseases, and any contact with outsiders could potentially wipe them out. But this isn't a recent phenomenon. The island has a long history of violent encounters with outsiders. In the late 1800s, a British expedition attempted to explore the island, capturing 6 Sentinelese people in the process. 2 adults and 4 children. The British quickly realized their mistake. The adults soon died, likely due to exposure to diseases brought by the foreigners, and the children were sent back to the island with gifts in an attempt to smooth things over. This event marked the beginning of a series of tense, often deadly encounters between the Sentinelese and anyone who dared come too close. More recently, in 2018, an American missionary named John Allen Chau made headlines when he illegally traveled to North Sentinel Island, hoping to spread Christianity to the tribe. Despite repeated warnings from local fishermen and the government, Chau landed on the island and was killed by the Sentinelese shortly after. His tragic death further solidified the island's reputation as one of the most dangerous places in the world. The Sentinelese are a people frozen in time, living as their ancestors did thousands of years ago. Their tools, homes, and way of life have remained largely unchanged, and their isolation has allowed them to remain untouched by modern civilization. But with this isolation comes danger, both to themselves and to anyone who tries to make contact. So, why is North Sentinel Island forbidden? The answer is simple: the risk is too high. The Indian government has taken strict measures to protect both the tribe. Even flying over the island is prohibited, as it could disturb the Sentinelese or provoke a violent response. The combination of their fierce independence, deadly hostility, and the risk of spreading disease makes North Sentinel Island one of the most forbidden places on the planet. If you're finding this list intriguing so far, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and like the video, and share in the comments which island you'd never visit. Poveglia Island. Our next stop takes us to the haunting shores of Poveglia Island, Italy. Nestled in the Venetian lagoon, Poveglia is often referred to as one of the most haunted places in the world, and with good reason. This tiny island has a dark and twisted history, filled with stories of death, suffering, and madness. The island's tragic tale begins in the 14th century, when the Black Death swept across Europe, killing millions. Poveglia was used as a quarantine station for plague victims, and thousands of people were brought here to die. Those who showed symptoms of the disease were ripped from their homes, thrown onto boats, and shipped to the island where they would spend their final, agonizing days. The island quickly became a mass grave, with bodies piled high and burned to prevent the spread of the plague. Some say that the soil on Poveglia is still mixed with human ashes from the countless victims who perished there. But the island's dark history didn't end with the plague. Centuries later, in the 1800s, 1800s, Poveglia was transformed into a mental asylum, a place where the mentally ill were subjected to brutal, inhumane treatment. Rumor has it that a sadistic doctor conducted horrific experiments on the patients, torturing them with crude lobotomies and other forms of abuse. According to legend, the doctor was driven mad by the spirits of those who had died on the island and eventually threw himself from the bell tower, where his ghost is said to remain to this day. For centuries, locals have claimed that Poveglia is cursed. Fishermen refuse to cast their nets anywhere near the island, fearing they might dredge up bones from the island's gruesome past. Visitors who have dared to step foot on Poveglia report hearing disembodied screams and whispers, seeing shadowy figures darting through the ruins, and feeling an overwhelming sense of dread. Some say the tortured souls of plague victims and asylum patients still roam the island, trapped between life and death. Today, Poveglia is abandoned, left to decay in silence. The Italian government has officially declared it off-limits, although some thrill seekers and paranormal investigators have managed to visit illegally, hoping to encounter the island's restless spirits. Despite its eerie allure, Poveglia remains one of the most forbidden places in Italy. Its tragic history and the lingering tales of ghosts have turned it into a place of nightmares. But why is Poveglia truly forbidden? Beyond the terrifying stories, the island is in a state of severe disrepair, making it dangerous to explore. Crumbling buildings and unstable structures pose a serious risk to anyone who dares to visit. And then there's the island's sinister reputation. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, there's no denying that Poveglia's dark past casts a long shadow over its future. If you ever find yourself in Venice, you might be tempted to take a boat out to see Poveglia from a distance. But stepping foot on the island, that's a different story. Its legacy of suffering and death makes it a place best left undisturbed. Which of these islands gives you the creeps? Let us know in the comments, and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the rest of this dark list. Snake Island. Our next stop is Ilha da Queimada Grande, better known as Snake Island, located just off the coast of Brazil. But don't let the picturesque surroundings fool you. This island is one of the deadliest places on Earth. And it's not because of the terrain or the climate. It's because of the island's terrifying residents. Thousands of venomous golden lancehead vipers. Snake Island is home to one of the densest populations of venomous snakes in the world. In fact, there are so many snakes on the island that it's estimated there's one for every square meter of land. And these aren't just any snakes. The golden lancehead viper is one of the most dangerous serpents in the world. Its venom is so potent that it can cause massive tissue damage, internal bleeding, if left untreated, death within a matter of hours. Legend has it that the island became infested with snakes over thousands of years after rising sea levels cut off the island from the mainland, trapping the species there. With no natural predators and an abundance of migratory birds to prey on, the snakes thrived, evolving into the deadly species we know today. The golden lancehead is so venomous that it can kill its prey almost instantly, allowing the snakes to feast on birds that land on the island during migration. Over the years, there have been numerous stories and legends about people who ventured to Snake Island and never returned. One of the most famous tales involves a lighthouse keeper and his family who lived on the island in the early 1900s. According to the story, the family was attacked by the snakes and none of them survived. After their tragic deaths, the Brazilian government decommissioned the lighthouse and declared the island off limits to visitors. In modern times, Snake Island is so dangerous that the Brazilian Navy has banned anyone from setting foot on it. Only a select few scientists are allowed to visit, and even then, they have to undergo rigorous preparation and bring specialized protective gear. The risk of a deadly encounter with a golden lancehead is simply too great for the general public to even consider visiting. Aside from the immediate danger posed by the snakes, the island's isolation makes it even more hazardous. If you were to be bitten on the island, there's almost no chance of making it back to the mainland in time to receive the necessary anti-venom. The combination of extreme venom and inaccessibility makes Snake Island one of the most lethal places on the planet. But what truly makes Snake Island forbidden? It's not just the government ban, it's the fact that the island itself is a ticking time bomb. Stepping foot on this island is like walking into a death trap, where even the smallest misstep could be your last. The snakes have adapted to their environment in such a way that they are perfectly equipped to kill, and for that reason, the island remains closed to all but a handful of trained professionals. Would you dare to visit Snake Island, knowing what's waiting for you there? For most of us, the answer is a definite no. Surtsey Island. Our next destination takes us to Surtsey Island, a mysterious and relatively new island located off the southern coast of Iceland. Unlike the other islands on this list, Surtsey wasn't always here. It was born out of a violent volcanic eruption that began deep beneath the ocean in 1963. Over the course of 4 years, the eruption continued, slowly building up the landmass that we now know as Surtsey Island. This island is unique not because of dangerous inhabitants or dark histories, but because it's an untouched natural laboratory. From the moment it first appeared, scientists recognized the rare opportunity to study an entirely new ecosystem as it developed in isolation. As a result, Surtsey has been declared a nature reserve, and access is strictly controlled to ensure that its ecosystem remains completely undisturbed by human influence. Surtsey's volcanic origins make it a fascinating place. When the island first emerged, it was nothing more than a barren landscape of black lava and ash. But over the decades, life began to take hold. First, mosses and lichens arrived, carried by the wind. Then, seabirds found the island, bringing seeds and nutrients with them. Gradually, plants took root, and today, Surtsey is home to over 60 species of plants and numerous bird and insect species. What makes Surtsey so special is that it allows scientists to observe the process of ecological succession, the development of an ecosystem from scratch without any interference from humans. Because of this, the island has been designated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and only a handful of scientists are permitted to visit each year. Even they must take great care to avoid leaving any trace of their presence, ensuring that the island remains as pristine as possible. But why is Surtsey forbidden to the public? The answer lies in the island's importance as a scientific study. Any human activity could disrupt the natural processes that scientists are observing. Something as simple as an introduced plant species or animal could alter the island's ecosystem in ways that would make it impossible to study its natural development. To preserve its unique status as an untouched environment, the Icelandic government has placed strict regulations on who can visit, making Surtsey one of the most off-limits places in the world. If you're a nature lover, it's easy to see the appeal of visiting an island like Surtsey. But to do so would be to risk spoiling one of the last places on Earth where nature is truly running its course without human interference. Miyake-jima Island. Next up, we head to Miyake-jima, a volcanic island in Japan that is part of the Izu archipelago, located about 180 kilometers south of Tokyo. Miyake-jima may look like a peaceful island from a distance with its beautiful coastline and lush greenery, but don't let appearances fool you. This island is constantly under the threat of volcanic eruptions, and, more alarmingly, toxic gas emissions. In fact, the residents of Miyake-jima have to live with gas masks as part of their daily lives, and for good reason. Miyake-jima is home to Mount Oyama, an active volcano that has erupted multiple times in recent history. With one of the most significant eruptions occurring in the year 2000, the eruption caused a massive evacuation, forcing all of the island's 3,600 residents to flee for their safety. The volcanic activity wasn't just limited to lava and ash. It also released dangerous levels of sulfur dioxide into the air, making it impossible for humans to breathe without protective equipment. For nearly 5 years, Miyake-jima remained uninhabited as the toxic gas levels were too high for anyone to return. It wasn't until 2005 that residents were allowed to come back. But even then, life on the island had changed forever. The air remains filled with sulfur dioxide, and gas masks are now a mandatory part of life. Schools, workplaces, and homes are all stocked with gas masks, and residents are required to carry them at all times in case of a sudden increase in toxic gas levels. One of the most startling facts about life on Miyake-jima is the gas alert system. Residents rely on a network of alarms placed throughout the island, which can go off at any moment, warning people to put on their gas masks and seek shelter. The island is constantly monitored for gas emissions, and residents must remain vigilant 24/7, knowing that the threat of a deadly gas leak could strike at any time. But why would people choose to live on such a dangerous island? For many, Miyake-jima is home, and despite the risks, they have deep-rooted connections to the land. The island offers a unique blend of natural beauty and isolation, attracting some who find peace in the quiet, away from the hustle of mainland Japan. Additionally, the government provides financial support to those who choose to live on Miyake-jima, offering subsidies to offset the risks associated with living in such a hazardous environment. Despite the danger, Miyake-jima has become a place of fascination for some tourists, particularly those interested in volcanoes and extreme environments. However, the island remains largely off-limits to the general public due to the unpredictability of its volcanic activity and the ever-present danger of toxic gases. Tourists who do visit must follow strict guidelines, including carrying gas masks and being prepared for evacuation at any time. Miyake-jima's unique combination of volcanic beauty and constant threat makes it one of the most hazardous inhabited islands in the world. While the residents have adapted to life with gas masks and gas alerts, it's clear that the island's volatile nature makes it a place that few outsiders would ever want to live. So why is Miyake-jima forbidden? It's not officially off-limits, but the constant threat of toxic gases and the reliance on gas masks make it one of the most dangerous places to visit or live. For those who can't imagine living in a place where an alarm could signal life-threatening danger at any moment, Miyake-jima remains a mysterious and forbidding land. Niihau Island. Next, we head to Niihau, a small and mysterious island located in the Hawaiian archipelago, known as the Forbidden Island. Niihau is privately owned and completely off-limits to the public, making it one of the most exclusive and secretive places in the world. For nearly 150 years, this island has remained shrouded in mystery, with very few outsiders ever setting foot on its shores. Niihau was purchased in 1864 by Elizabeth Sinclair, a Scottish widow, from King Kamehameha V of Hawaii, and it has remained in the Sinclair family ever since. The island's current owners, the Robinson family, have maintained strict control over access to Niihau, allowing only a select few to visit. Even people from other Hawaiian islands are not allowed on Niihau unless they receive a personal invitation from the Robinson family. The result? A place where time seems to have stood still, untouched by modern life. One of the most intriguing aspects of Niihau is that the island's 170 or so native inhabitants live a traditional lifestyle, completely cut off from the outside world. There are no paved roads, no running water, no electricity, and no internet. The residents of Niihau primarily speak Hawaiian, and the island's isolation has helped to preserve not only their language, but also their customs and traditions. The native people of Niihau live off the land, relying on fishing, hunting, and farming for survival, in a way that has remained largely unchanged for generations. But why is Niihau forbidden? The answer lies in the island's privacy and the wishes of the Robinson family to keep it that way. The family has long been committed to protecting the island's natural beauty and the traditional way of life of its inhabitants. They believe that opening Niihau to tourists or outsiders would disrupt the delicate balance that exists on the island and introduce modern influences that could harm the community and the environment. While a few government officials and members of the military have been granted access over the years, Niihau remains almost entirely cut off from the rest of the world. Occasionally, helicopter tours fly over the island, allowing visitors to catch a glimpse of this forbidden paradise from above. But landing is strictly prohibited. Only a handful of people, such as ranch workers and close friends of the Robinson family, are ever allowed to set foot on Niihau. For those who are fascinated by the idea of a place untouched by modern technology, Niihau might seem like a dream destination. But the reality is, unless you have a personal connection to the island's owners, it will remain out of reach, an island where the past continues to live in the present, far away from the hustle and bustle of the outside world. So why is Niihau forbidden? It's not about danger or dark secrets. It's about maintaining the privacy and traditions of a small, close-knit community. In an age where almost every corner of the world has been explored, Niihau stands as one of the last places where mystery and isolation still reign supreme. Next, we're heading to Bouvet Island, the most remote island on Earth, where an abandoned lifeboat has left more questions than answers. Stay with us to uncover its eerie story. Bouvet Island. Our final stop takes us to one of the most remote and mysterious places on Earth, Bouvet Island, located in the South Atlantic Ocean. This tiny, uninhabited island is about as far away from civilization as you can get, more than 1,600 kilometers from the nearest landmass, which is Antarctica. It's often called the most isolated island on the planet, and for good reason. The harsh, icy conditions and extreme isolation town make Bouvet Island one of the most difficult places to reach. Despite its remoteness, Bouvet Island is no stranger to strange mysteries. One of the most enduring and eerie stories surrounding this frozen landmass involves an abandoned lifeboat. In 1964, a British research team arrived on Bouvet Island for a routine expedition. To their surprise, they discovered a lifeboat, partially submerged in the island's icy lagoon. There was no sign of any crew or passengers, no documentation, and no indication of where the boat had come from or how long it had been there. Adding to the mystery, the team found no evidence of any shipwreck nearby. To this day, the origin of the lifeboat remains unsolved, leaving many to wonder what happened on that desolate island. But Bouvet Island's mysteries don't stop with the lifeboat. The island itself is largely covered by glaciers, making it difficult to explore or access. The brutal weather conditions and treacherous seas surrounding the island make it a place where few dare to venture. Its volcanic origins add another layer of danger, as the island was formed by a volcanic eruption millions of years ago, and volcanic activity could potentially still occur beneath the thick ice. Although Bouvet Island is uninhabited and rarely visited, it's officially a dependency of Norway, and the Norwegian government has designated it as a nature reserve to protect its fragile ecosystem. The island is home to a small population of seals, seabirds, and penguins, who have managed to survive in the extreme environment. But for humans, Bouvet Island is inhospitable, and the Norwegian government has placed strict regulations on access to the island, limiting it to a handful of scientific expeditions each year. The isolation and mystery of Bouvet Island have fascinated many, particularly adventurers and explorers who dream of visiting one of the last truly untouched places on Earth. However, even for the most seasoned travelers, Bouvet Island poses significant risks. The treacherous seas, unpredictable weather, and the sheer difficulty of reaching the island make it a journey that few are willing to take. So, why is Bouvet Island forbidden? While it's not officially off-limits, the extreme remoteness, harsh conditions, and lack of any infrastructure make it nearly impossible for anyone but scientists to visit. Even then, only a small number of research expeditions are allowed to explore the island, and visitors must be fully prepared for the dangers that come with venturing to such a remote and unforgiving place. The mystery of the abandoned lifeboat continues to haunt those who know the story. What could have happened to the people aboard? Was it a simple shipwreck that left no trace, or is there something more sinister lurking in Bouvet's icy waters? With that, we've reached the end of our list of forbidden island nations. But before you go, tell us, which of these islands would you be most curious or brave enough to visit? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos about the world's most mysterious places.